Hello, amazing people. I'm grateful we can share this moment together, a moment of reflection on how something as simple as a small act of kindness can shape not only our individual journeys, but the trajectory of our entire world. Many years ago, I experienced a profound personal failure that left me feeling unsteady and uncertain. At that time, I was pouring all my energy into an ambitious project, convinced I had the perfect plan to revolutionize the industry. There were spreadsheets, prototypes, and metrically drawn up timelines. From a surface viewpoint, everything looked systematically orchestrated for success, carried the hope that I'd push technology one step further for the benefit of humanity. But reality had a harsher lesson. The product launch didn't go as intended. The market reaction was lukewarm. Unexpected regulatory hurdles crumpled most planning almost overnight. My entire team and I had poured our hearts, minds, and resources into the endeavor, only to see it stumble right out of the gate. I remember the sinking feeling in my chest, the question of why, and the lingering sense of responsibility that I might have overlooked something fundamental. You can't help but wonder what you missed, corner you failed to check, and for a while it was an emotional low point that almost made me question my future in pursuing big ideas at all. There was doubt in myself, doubt in the practicality of moving forward, the natural inclination to isolate, to push people away, to brave the disappointment in long hours that felt more like punishment than progress. That was the failure. The breakthrough moment arrived unexpectedly on an ordinary day when a complete stranger offered me a simple gesture, a few words of genuine encouragement, and a willingness to listen. I'd met this person entirely by chance. Empathy, compassion, and genuine desire to understand allowed me to see that the venture missteps didn't have to define me. It wasn't a fancy piece of advice, nor was it an introduction to a powerful investor. It was kindness, plain and simple, a human connection that reignited my confidence to keep trying. It became a turning point that reminded me we can rebuild after failure if we feel just enough care from those around us. From my experiences, I know many here have tasted disappointment in one form or another. We've all had those moments where the grand vision collides with harsh reality. But I also know we can relate to the sweet, surprising support that arrives when we least expect it. When someone extends a genuine smile, a listening ear, or a patient explanation, it can shift our perspective. That's what unites us, the basic human yearning to feel seen and valued. You and I stand on that same foundation where we each have the power to lift someone up, often with the smallest, simplest of actions. So tonight, I'd like to propose a new path, one built on the premise that small acts of kindness can transform our lives and the lives of others. We can channel the spirit that moves startups from mere ideas to groundbreaking achievements. The same urgency and inventive drive that makes technology evolve at lightning speed can be harnessed for acts of compassion. By systematically embedding kindness into our lives, create an engine that fuels not only innovation but genuine human progress. Let's explore that engine, understand how it works, and commit to utilizing it for the greatest possible good. To delve into why kindness has so much power, we'll look at what it unlocks in our relationships, our professional endeavors, and our broader society. We'll move through different perspectives, reflect on stories of resilience, ground ourselves in data and trends, engage in thought exercises, and then solve tangible challenges with practical action plans. Along the way, I'll share how technology and entrepreneurship amplify these small actions, turning them into catalysts that reshape communities. Ultimately, if we weave kindness into the core of our existence, create systems of empathy that leave no one behind. Let's walk this road together and see how small, thoughtful gestures can reshape our destinies for the better. It's time to explore 5 pivotal insights into the nature of kindness and how these insights can be deployed effectively in our personal and professional realms. The first is about discovery. Let's open with a question. Ever felt the weight of unspoken fears, only to find relief in the gentle encouragement of a friend or colleague? That question frames our exploration into how a single moment of kindness can illuminate new pathways. There's a story I learned from an early stage founder who was on the brink of shutting down his business. He was young, bursting with ideas, but running out of capital and hope. One evening, he mentioned his stress to a mentor who took the time to listen without judgment. The founder described the conversation as nothing short of life, changing simple words, genuine reassurance, and a renewed sense that, despite the odds, he was capable of success. This encounter gave him the courage to reach out new partners and restructure his operations. Soon enough, this guy found a market niche that led to a stable and eventually thriving business. That simple case study shows the power of how listening and gentle words can bring clarity. On a deeper level, kindness functions almost like a powerful data infusion, providing valuable information that says, you're not alone, your struggles matter, and your potential is still intact. From an analytical standpoint, it disrupts a downward emotional cycle and replaces it with optimism. When we look at how negativity loops form, it's typically a mix of external pressures and internal beliefs that spiral. Well, timed kindness breaks that spiral. It serves as a catalyst for self-belief and innovation and forward momentum. This means a small, consistent practice, like offering genuine words of encouragement, can shift entire ecosystems of relationships. Practically, we can integrate these gestures into our workplace cultures, whether it's a quick message on Slack celebrating a teammate's achievement or an empathetic acknowledgement of someone's stressful day. Imagine scheduling 5 minutes a day dedicated to a personal outreach to a colleague, friend, or family member. The small-time investment yields immeasurable returns in loyalty, trust, and morale. The conclusion we draw is that our ability to uplift others isn't complicated. It's inherent. Yet so often, we overlook it because we get caught up in the hustle and forget that a single spark of warmth can alter someone's entire narrative. The moment we realize kindness isn't an accessory but a critical component in our collective success, we unlock a deeper realm of human collaboration. The words of Abraham Lincoln, "When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. That's my religion." Such a direct and heartfelt statement underscores that kindness resonates with us at the core of our being. That was the first major revelation, discovering that one encouraging sentence or one act of understanding can flip our entire perspective. Now, consider another side of kindness just by stepping into a storytelling journey. I once met a brilliant engineer who had a habit of offering small handwritten notes of appreciation to colleagues. He'd sit at his desk late into the evening, quietly planning next generation propulsion systems. Yet he took a few minutes each week to craft these messages, always specific, like praising how a team member solved a complex code bug or how they streamlined a manufacturing step. At first, his coworkers found it quirky. Soon the department noticed a palpable shift, morale improved, cross-team collaboration flourished, and employees became more invested in each other's successes. It started with a simple story hook, a shy engineer's mindful gesture. Initially, people were intrigued because it was so unusual. Then, the situation developed with the handwritten notes multiplying around the office like friendly souvenirs of gratitude. Challenges, some felt uncomfortable receiving praise, and others wondered if it was forced positivity. Yet through thoughtful, sincere communication, the engineer clarified that he truly valued each contribution. He reminded them that solving big problems requires more than raw intellect. It requires trust and a willingness to share your best ideas openly, without fear of judgment. The solution to those early hesitations was honesty. He explained that writing these notes also helped him battle his own anxieties. By focusing on the good he saw in others, he found himself less stressed about his projects. The team, in turn, embraced the gesture, and the department's synergy skyrocketed. The lesson he learned was that whenever we share authentic recognition, it eases tensions and fosters an environment where people naturally want to help each other. It also cements the idea that each person, their effort matters, reinforces a sense of belonging. From my perspective, this story connects to you and me. No matter our field, be it technology, healthcare, education, anything else, we all understand the difference between a fearful, rigid environment and one that is open, forgiving, and supportive. When we participate in these small acts, we step into a space of empathy that supercharges creativity. And in that way, we not only contribute to a kinder workplace, we also drive more agile, innovative solutions to the challenges we face. This is why many pioneering organizations encourage open forums or appreciation boards. Encouragement moves mountains, especially when it comes from a place of honesty. As Mother Teresa once said, "Can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless." That quote crystallizes what we see in this story. Each note or acknowledgement is like a seed that grows and spreads activity beyond our immediate circle. Up next is an analytical perspective. While it might be easy to see kindness as a soft concept, it tells a compelling story. Consider statistics showing that employees who feel genuinely appreciated are significantly less likely to quit their jobs. See a reduced turnover rate by as much as 31% in organizations with well-developed culture of peer recognition. Trends indicate that businesses emphasizing empathy and social responsibility attract top talent more easily. These are people who want to apply their skills in an environment that aligns with their values. According to recent surveys, consumers too prefer brands that treat both their employees and communities with respect. Now, let's dive into some research that goes deeper than just correlation. Repeated study by psychologists and neuroscientists have found that acts of kindness release hormones like oxytocin and endorphins, boosting the well-being of both the giver and receiver. In business terms, that's a double advantage: happier, more engaged people who drive productivity, and a culture that fosters retention and creativity. If we translate these insights into practical applications, we see how kindness can be systematically integrated in a company structure. It can appear in hiring practices that look not just at skill sets, but also at empathy. Counter life and leadership training that stresses listening skills as much as strategic thinking. Another practical aspect is designing and signing incentive programs that reward collaborative behaviors instead of cutthroat competitiveness. Imagine a performance review system that includes peer feedback on how employees make others feel. It's not about diluting standards. It gets you down. It's about strengthening them through mutual respect. The future points to a rise in what some call empathy-driven innovation, where successful organizations will pivot more nimbly because they have strong internal support networks. That environment encourages more risk-taking. Failure is met with constructive feedback rather than judgment. Forward-thinking analysts predict companies ignoring the kindness factor may soon find themselves at a disadvantage. As the world becomes more interconnected, negative internal cultures get exposed quickly, and top talent moves on a place that treat them better. Imagine a generation of innovators who demand that their work be meaningful in every sense, socially, environmentally, and interpersonally. Those companies that weave kindness into their strategic framework will continue to attract bright minds. And for entrepreneurs eager to make a difference, establishing a culture of kindness early can become a signature competitive edge. One relevant quote that captures this direction is from the founder of Patagonia, Ivan Chouinard. The cure for depression is action. Every time you do something positive, you feel better. Though he speaks often about environmental activism, the principle stands, it's in taking positive, purposeful action, rooted in empathy, that we find not only solutions, but also renewed motivation. Transitioning from analysis to an interactive exploration, consider a thought exercise. Imagine a typical day where you intentionally look for someone you can help in a small but significant way. Maybe it's as simple as offering to proofread a proposal for a colleague feeling overwhelmed. Maybe it's asking your team during a meeting, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now, and how can I assist? Visualize the effect of repeating this daily, an expanding wave of goodwill and lowered stress levels, all built on consistent empathy. Now extend that idea to a group discussion. Meeting in a workshop or an online forum, we can pose questions like, where have you seen kindness have the biggest impact in your own life? How did it shape your viewpoint? Or what is one moment this week when you noticed you could extend help to someone else? Such discussions reveal universal truths. As experiences are shared, the mosaic of stories fosters unity. We begin to see ourselves in other people's narratives, bridging differences in culture, age, or professional role. Personal experience sharing deepens that connection further. When you openly talk about a moment you felt vulnerable and a colleague or friend stepped in with kindness, you remind everyone of our common need to be seen and supported. Let's then shift to direct practice. In a workshop setting, that could mean forming small circles where participants give each other feedback on a project, but they do it kindly and helpfully, focusing on solutions rather than pointing fingers. It might feel a bit uncomfortable first, as we're used to critique methods that can be harsh or highly competitive. Yet, practicing constructive input rewires our default approach, turning feedback sessions into safe, collaborative spaces. The learning summary from such an exercise as clear kindness is not just a passive, nice-enough attribute. It's an active, powerful tool that shapes communication, creativity, and outcomes. Schweitzer once wrote, constant kindness can accomplish much. As the sun makes ice melt, kindness causes misunderstanding, mistrust, and this quote underscores how consistent empathy dissolves barriers that might otherwise remain locked in place. Now let's approach the heart of our final major insight using a problem-solving lens. The challenge often identified in fast-paced environments like startups, tech companies, or any high-stakes sector. Tension can run high. Deadlines loom, resources feel scarce, and egos can clash. The root cause, in many instances, is a sense that we must constantly prove ourselves, sometimes at the expense of those around us. This competitive drive may push us to ignore, sideline, or sign the emotional realities of our teammates and ourselves. While competitiveness can spark breakthroughs, too much of it, or the wrong kind can corrode relationships and stall growth. The key then is to find balanced solution proposals. Begin by encouraging open channels of communication where it's culturally acceptable to say, I'm struggling with this, or I need help. Help. Leadership must model vulnerability by admitting their own hurdles. This fosters an environment where people trust that showing weakness won't be punished. Another solution is building cross-functional teams that rotate tasks periodically so everyone gains empathy for each other's workloads and skill sets. Through repeated contact with diverse roles, we become less likely to treat colleagues as faceless cogs and more likely to see them as people with unique strengths and pressures. An effective action plan often includes measurable steps, such as establishing a kindness index that logs both feedback from employees about workplace support and the small acts people have performed to help each other. Monthly or quarterly reviews of these logs show how well the cultural shift is taking hold. To keep the momentum, leaders could set a collective target, like performing a certain number of supportive gestures in a quarter, and celebrate when the group reaches it. This is not about forced positivity. It's about reinforcing habits that bring about sustainable success. And speaking of success, it's vital to define metrics. If collaboration rises, if absenteeism drops, if satisfaction surveys improve, These are tangible indicators that kindness-based approaches are working. You can track project turnaround times, synergy in brainstorming sessions, or the speed at which new hires integrate into teams. When we see improvement in these areas, it's not random. It's the direct result of a culture that values the whole person. In one of my own ventures, keeping track of helping interactions. Somewhere as small as a senior engineer spending 10 minutes to guide a junior hire. Others were more significant, like bridging two departments that rarely spoke before. 6 months, we saw a remarkable acceleration in certain R&D efforts. That was a success metric that showed how crucial kindness can be to achieving commercial milestones. As Henry Ford said, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. This quote has its classic ring, but it's a potent reminder that the best systems run on mutual respect. Respect is cultivated through kindness. We have journeyed through distinct facets of kindness, discovery, storytelling, analysis, interaction, and problem solving. Each lens reveals a unique angle on how small acts of compassion can ripple outward. The inevitable question is where to go from here, and the conclusion points us to the future. I see a world in which kindness is no longer an afterthought, but rather a core operating principle for how we innovate and grow. I envision an era when technology platforms integrate kindness metrics as a standard, rewarding users who contribute positively while systematically limiting the reach of hateful content. I see startups that begin with a kindness blueprint in their business plan, acknowledging the intangible capital of empathy and mapping out strategies to sustain it from the seed stage onward. If we extend that same mindset beyond the corporate sphere, reduce conflict in communities by teaching new generations how to manage tensions through empathy rather than aggression. Schools can incorporate projects where young minds practice small acts of compassion as systematically as they practice mathematics. Neighborhoods can adopt grant programs that encourage acts of communal support, from neighborhood clean mentorship events for local kids. Over time, these patches of positivity will weave together into a global tapestry of mutual respect. The challenge, however, is that acts of kindness require us to look beyond ourselves. In an age that sometimes glorifies personal achievement and self-branding, the leap to a more collectively oriented approach can feel daunting. But it's possible. It starts with each of us recognizing that, but yes, we are individuals pursuing our dreams. We also thrive when we weave our ambitions into a shared mission. We can set up processes, both personal and professional, that keep kindness at the forefront. Whenever we design a new product, a new process, or a new policy, we ask, is it empathetic? Does it serve people in a compassionate way? Sure, it might feel like an extra step at first. That's how real change happens, through conscious iteration until kindness becomes second nature. Support for this vision will come from those willing to lead by example, from mentors who guide the next wave of innovators, and from community organizers who unite diverse groups under a banner of empathy. I'm committed to that path. I want to maintain initiatives that encourage employees, friends, and partners to treat compassion not as an afterthought, but as a core metric of progress. And I will keep looking for new technological solutions that can magnify the impact of small acts, be it through digital platforms that track volunteer efforts or AI-driven philanthropic tools that match time needs with available helpers. The more we harness technology as a conduit for kindness, the broader our impact can become, transcending geography, language, and cultural barriers. That brings us to the tangible question, what role will you play in shaping this future? Re-invitation is to challenge ourselves to see kindness not merely as a moral good, but also as an integral strategy for success. Let's define success to include how well we look after each other. Let's challenge the status quo, sees empathy as secondary, and instead put it front and center. Let's challenge our workplaces to measure not only quarterly earnings, but also the emotional health of those who make those earnings possible. Let's challenge our personal habits by monitoring how often we reach out to help someone else versus how often we remain absorbed in our own concerns. True transformation starts with these everyday choices, multiplied over time and shared among communities. And when we face stumbling blocks, and we will, because no journey is linear, we can remind ourselves that we're forging a path worth walking. To anyone worried that this might be too optimistic or unrealistic, let me state my unwavering belief kindness is not antithetical to the results-driven mindset. On the contrary, it's a catalyst for better and more enduring results. The tech world has shown us what can happen when brilliant minds work in harmony. Breakthroughs occur that reshape entire industries. If we funnel that spirit of collaboration through lens of sincere empathy, we won't just build profitable ventures, we'll build a more inclusive future, build a more inclusive communities that lifts up communities across the globe. Now, let me stand here in support, ready to back endeavors that highlight compassion action. Let's find ways to incubate fresh ideas, support local charities, sponsor educational programs, create technological platforms that link volunteers to causes in need. Let's provide seed funding for social initiatives that might seem small at first glance, but harbor the power to shift an entire neighborhood's outlook. track success not only by our eye, but also by how many lives improved and hearts opened along the way. My promise is to continue speaking, investing, and inventing in ways that elevate this conversation. And I hope each of you will champion this mission in your own domains, whether you're a teacher guiding young minds, a medical professional healing bodies, or an entrepreneur creating tomorrow's solutions. Let these final words spark inspiration. Together, we hold the capability to co-author the narrative of tomorrow, one that is not just technologically advanced, but deeply humane. When we look back decades from now, let's be proud that in our era, kindness finally stepped onto the main stage, recognized as a critical driver of human progress. Let's be proud that we didn't shy away from caring because we thought it might slow us down. Instead, let's realize that caring propelled us further than we ever thought possible. As you step away tonight, keep in mind that every small gesture has the potential to become a life-changing moment for someone else. Next encouraging word you say, the next expression of gratitude you share, the next time you decide to listen intently rather than judge, you are shaping a future that is not just prosperous, but compassionate. Let's dare to follow that path. Let's revolutionize the way we treat each other, just as we would revolutionize any technical field. Let's launch 1,000 small rockets of kindness every day, lighting up the skies of possibility. Because if we can send people to Mars, electrify transport, and connect the world through satellites, surely we can also master the art of uplifting one another. We can choose, individually and collectively, to turn compassion into the new normal. And that will be our greatest achievement.